Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 36 of the FPV podcast. This week, we have yet another racer that made it to Drone Nationals. So we'll definitely get his story behind that. And also, he's still going strong for 2016. Plenty of racing still left. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our cast, and we'll get right into it. Elvin, introduce yourself.
Hello, guys. It's Mr. Miyagi. Hope you guys are having a great time. Enjoy the weather, if you got time to enjoy it. Hey, we got Terry Scott.
R. Scott.
Right. This week, and Terry is Beastmode, man. He races for Detroit Multirotor, guys, and he's one of the best pilots out there. You guys got to check him out for sure. Terry,
go ahead.
Yeah, like you said, I'm Terry, Beast Mode. I fly for Detroit Multirotor, and yeah, I got Jim Fan sponsors me, and Excel RC, and who else we got? And Tattoo Miguel over there.
Yep. Tattoo Miguel. All right, sounds good, man. Yeah, I've actually seen Terry quite a few times. He's actually one of the funnest guys to actually watch race because, when he's racing, he actually looks like he's about to attack somebody. Right. He earns his name Beast Mode really well. You should go watch him if you
look on his face is just priceless.
It's like,
I get pretty into it.
Yeah, you do. I walk up to you. He's like, man, if he wasn't wearing goggles, I swear he was gonna tackle me.
He just looks like he's intent to do something.
Exactly. So, Terry.
Mode at the time.
Yeah. So, Terry, tell us how you got into RC. Was it a lifelong thing, or did you just get in?
Yeah, I've been messing around with RC cars since I was a kid, since I can remember, and I've always liked taking them apart when they break and try to fix them. And, as I got older, the RC cars got more expensive and faster, turned into nitro cars. And then, it's just a passion I've had that's just never died. And when the FPV stuff came around, I was just hooked instantly. It was something I'm into. I like to tinker, and I especially like the, things that go pretty fast and especially dangerous. That really excites me. So, it was pretty much a no-brainer for me. The first time I saw one, I had to have one, and that's just pretty much how it started.
Cool. When did you first see one? Was it a video? Was it real life or?
Well, the first one I saw was like a little cheapie, like a Radio Shack one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I actually bought one of those. I flew it for like a month, and then I bought like a bigger battery to try to beef it up a little bit, and ended up breaking it. So I went to the hobby shop, and they had like a Nighthawk there on the counter, and I was just like, wow, what is this? And they explained like, well, you can buy it either as is or you can build one. And as soon as they said build one, I was like, yeah, I'm all for it. And then I started YouTubing it, and I saw really what they're capable of, and then that was just like it for me.
It was all over.
And then I went to a multi-GP event that Harry was having, and I saw, these guys with the goggles. At the time, I didn't know there was goggles and stuff like that. I thought it was just hovering. And then I saw what they're really capable of, and, I was all for it.
And then his pocketbook became less and less full, and
right.
then it's completely empty.
Pretty much. And I'm the kind of guy that likes to push the limit, so, it didn't take long to start destroying it. So I was doing way more repairing than actually flying for probably the first 4 months.
You were just pushing it right from the get-go, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm always wanting to see, what the things are capable of and how fast they'll go. And it's just something I've always been into. It's just speed and kind of reckless when it comes to toys.
I'm glad you didn't get into street cars. So when was that? Like a year and a half ago? What?
Actually, no, it's almost a year on the dot. Actually, it's been like, I think it's been about 11 and a half months, something like that. I think it's almost a year. In September is when right around my birthday last year is when I started.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So
So
almost a year. Yeah.
yeah. So Elvin, when did you meet Beast Mode? Because I met him at Megadrone. That was the first time I saw Detroit Multirotor. No, wait, I take that back. I met
No,
him at F3 Expo.
yeah, that's
But
where I met him too. I saw him there, and I was like, "Who's this kid?" You know.
No, at Expo. I don't think I was there.
You sure?
We thought it was you.
No, you
No,
weren't there.
I met both you guys at MDX. Nope.
And DX, okay. So were you okay? So let's not fast forward too much. So got into the hobby, right? Started flying them, loved it. Got into FPV right afterwards, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, a couple of months
A
after
couple of months.
just
Okay.
hovering and
Yeah.
kind of figuring it out.
So how did you hook up with Detroit Multirotor?
Okay, so at the hobby shop they had these meetup cards there, and that's when I went to the first multi GP race, and I met Harry, and then Joe was there flying, and a couple guys from DMR. You know, then I didn't even do FPV then. I was just still doing line of sight. So Joe was just like, yo, you know, you're new to this, and I sell parts if you want something that you can't get at the hobby shop. So I got his card and ended up buying some parts off of him, and he's the one that kind of pushed me into, you know, going first person view.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I got all my parts originally start off, and then I just practiced every single day, well, whenever I could at the time, and he's just like, you should come to more of the meetups, you know, it's fun stuff. The guys just hanging out, you know, it's cool to watch or whatever. So I just started showing up to all the races. I wouldn't even race. I would just come to hang out. And that's pretty much how it started. And then, you know, I was like, well, I'm just going to keep practicing until I'm decent enough to at least hang with the guys. You know, and I'm a super competitive person, so...
Oh, yes, we know.
Yeah, so once I got started, you know, it was like a domino effect. There's just nothing stopping me. I was just going to keep going until, you know, I was able to at least hang with them.
Okay, cool. So, like, when would you say was your first race event? In was it?
It was last summer. I want to say maybe November last summer. It was actually it was at where was it? It was at Circuit, and it was really crazy too because normally they don't have races at places like this because it was just all cement.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave us like a tiny little space to fly. And Harry and Joe were just trying to kind of get in good with the people that own Eastern Market to maybe have an indoor place to fly. Mm-hmm. So that's the only reason they even did it. So the first race I went to, it was around these cement pillars and in a parking lot, basically. So I was probably more nervous then than I've ever been in my life, just like going to it, knowing I was going to race. You know, but it ended up being all right, and I actually ended up winning my first multi-GP race I went. Yeah, so it was pretty exciting, to say the least. And that was funny because Joe, I was racing him, and he was like the best guy there. And they're like, I think that new guy beat you. And Joe was like, no, he didn't. And they're like, yeah, I think he did. He's kind of pissed, actually.
I can see that.
I'm gonna next time I see Joe, I'm gonna remind that. You remember that time Terry just showed up out of nowhere and beat your ass? I'm kidding.
He's like a quiet angry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we won't do that. We don't want to get you fired.
Right. I need Joe.
Yeah, so okay, so that was how you got into goggles. So how did you get onto the team?
So like I said, I just kept on showing up to all the events. You know, Harry did a race like every single weekend. Mm-hmm. So and all the Detroit guys, most of them were at all the races. You know, because it's good practice and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And Joe just started. You know, he was watching me get better and better as each week went by, and he's just like, I can see you're dedicated, and you know, I see you're driven. And he didn't officially ask me to be on the team. He just asked if I wanted to travel with them to compete, and I was just like, yeah, sure, you know, of course. And then after like a couple months of traveling, and you know, going to Canada and other places like that, he made it official. After I don't know, I guess it took a while to just be worthy. I don't know, but he didn't. At first, he didn't make it official. He just let me come hang out with them on the road. So after winning a couple,
that's a good team though. Even if you wasn't on the team, riding with them is just you got the same prestige at almost, right? You know, because Joe treats people nice, you know.
Oh yeah, Joe's great to the pilots. He's great to other people, and a lot of the guys all the guys on the team are, you know, nice, caring guys. If you need something, they're there to help you out. And just this experience alone, just going out to experience something new like that, you know, it was crazy. To me, it was just, you know, like opening up a whole new world.
Definitely. It's actually,
Yeah.
I think all of us, when we first go to our first event to race, is a little bit more nervous. We're more like, just let me finish a lap. Just let me finish a lap. Don't make me. That's all you really care about.
I be thinking, no equipment failures. No equipment failures.
Right. I swear, I think I was more nervous there than I was for nationals. I'm not kidding. My first couple races, it was just, you know, you had to kind of prove yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's FPV Fly Girl here, and this week instead of a tip of the week, I'm actually going to do the drawing for the frame giveaway. So I asked people to send in their tips and tricks, and as a reward, we're going to draw a name, and the winner will get a free frame. So I put all the names in here in a LiPo bag because I thought it was funny. And now all I gotta do is pick one. So excited. And the winner is George Hook. So I don't know if you can see that. We're going to try really hard. So there we go. George Hook, you have won the frame. And thank you to everyone that submitted their ideas. And continue to send in your tips of the week. And if we choose yours, we'll give you credit on the podcast. That's it for now, and I'll catch you next time. Have a great flight.
And especially if, like, there's a bunch of veterans there and it's like you're the new guy. It's like, dang it.
Yeah, like at least let me finish the race. Like, I don't care if I do well or not, you know?
Cool. So, what was your first big race MDX, or did you have other big races there?
Well, I mean, I guess you could say that Scully in Canada had a couple decent sized races.
They have great races. Definitely.
Yeah, they had a few barn burner events that I won. I think I won 2 of them. Ockbots was there, and a bunch of really good pilots. So, I mean, I guess, like, to really get my name out there and people know who I am, MDX was probably definitely my first real big one. You know, but in my opinion, there was other big races. It just wasn't as known.
No, like the barn burners are really well known, and like I know Scully's races. That's a really good level of competition to go against before showing up at MDX. So definitely.
And a lot of people like Scully's racing. You know, they like his style, and a lot of people show up, even if it is in Canada. A lot of people come. And you know, it's more than just racing. Scully holds awesome events. Like, the guy will get you food, drinks, whatever you want. You know, he just makes you feel comfortable.
Cool. So
takes the edge off.
Yeah, it does.
Right. Yeah.
So at MDX, how did you two hit it off? Besides, you know, Elvin going around, you know, introducing himself to everyone, because that's what he does.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. I just, you know, you see somebody racing, and you like that dude's like, look at his look. You know what I mean? Look at his fingers. Look, you know, you when you watch other people racing, you know, you look for certain things. You know, is their hands twitching? You know, are they twitching and actually in control? Because, you know, that's him. You know, his hands are twitching. He's shaking. You know, like we talked to him at MDX before the last couple of races he was in, and you know, he was nervous. You could tell he had a little sweat on the top of his brow. You know, he was walking around, and Joe was like, "Oh man, my boy's, he might be nervous. You know, good. Let's talk to him." And I was like, "Just talk to him, man. He looked like he might just." Don't over talk to him, though.
Right.
I was like, wait. Don't over talk to him, because that might mess him up, you know.
Yeah,
I said, just, you know, only say 1 or 2 things, you know. And I watched you, dude, and you were on it from when the buzzer went off. It was like beast mode switched in. You
Right.
took off and you flew the race. You didn't. From the moment the buzzer went off, you was locked in on the track, hitting the laps, and I think it was you and Zoomis were battling it out for like a little bit, and then if I remember correctly, he went down, right? And and you floated in, and it was like you took your goggles off. That had that look on your face, like, okay, I fucking did it.
Yeah, well,
and I was like, I said before, that's it right there.
Yeah, I remember after doing a couple practice runs is when you approached me. I think after you see me fly, you're like, all right, this guy's decent. He's worth my time for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember you came over, and I think you're just like, man, you're kicking ass out there, and you introduced yourself, and I remember you showing me that like prototype drone you had with like the screen on.
Yep. It's here.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Toretto.
Yeah.
They're gonna be that company is like blowing up all over. They're making all kinds of stuff, man. It's just
pretty cool stuff.
But
so
they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, being innovative.
Yeah, cool. So, I actually already forgot a question, but it's all right. I have another one. Okay, at MDX, you're actually the first person I asked this to, even though I have already talked to a bunch of pilots on the podcast, but I forget all the time. Detroit Multirotor race where we had 8 of the same quads up. What'd you think of it, and did you like that format? Do you remember that?
The phone was kind of messing up.
Yeah.
You're saying when we had the run cam challenge?
Yeah, the run cam challenge. What'd you think?
Yeah, no, I think it was cool because it kind of puts everyone on the same level, and it's more skill than having the fastest copter out there or the best technology or whatever. So everybody kind of starts off at an even playing field, in my opinion, and it's just the battle of the best pilot, in my opinion. But it just, I don't know. I didn't know at the time until after I watched the footage. It's just crazy. I've never seen a race that spectacular. Everybody that close.
Yeah.
And, it was something out of this world, to be honest. You don't see that at races. I mean, you see good racing, but not 7, 8 guys up all at the same time.
And not the whole race. That's what made that such a spectacular race was the fact that it was the whole race from the time you guys took off, and that first lap, it was like a couple of guys jumped out in front, and then y'all started slowing down to get to the turns, and you come around that going into the second lap, and then everybody just opened up. It was just like, choo, 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 choo,
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, definitely.
So did you have
actually?
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I found out like I couldn't get my quad to arm with my controller for some reason. And Joe actually took my quad and he did something and he got it to arm. So after the race is all said and done, I'm like going through my controller to see what he changed. And he actually lowered my throttle by like 30% to get it to arm. Yeah. And some Spectrum remotes, like you can go into Clean Flight and do it, because you got to be under a certain. Yep. So he did that just so I can get in the race and go. But I wouldn't say screwed me, but I think I would have had a better chance. I still ended up doing well because I was behind a noob the whole time, and I was just like, why can't I catch this guy? I was full throttle the whole time.
Dude, that guy's fast, though.
Why. Yeah.
That guy's...
Either way, it was awesome.
So, like, walk me through that race. Like, you take off. I mean, you were one of the first out of the gate. You were pretty much chasing a noob the whole time. Did you have a strategy?
Time.
What?
Well, yeah, my strategy in racing has always been the same. Kind of take the corners, like in real racing, take the corners wide and then cut it in the inside of a turn. I've always done that, and I'm sure I always will. That's the little edge you get in racing. Not every guy does it. People just do what they're comfortable with. But I just kept that. That's why I was so confused why I wasn't catching him, because all my lines were, how I would normally do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized I was underpowered, obviously, after. But, and then when I realized I wasn't going to catch him, I was just like, well, at least just stay as close as you can to him so you can at least, podium in this race because,
Yeah,
it was just something. Right, exactly. Placing in any top 3 or whatever in a race that big is important to any pilot.
Right.
So I was like, well, at least don't go down. Don't let anybody pass you. Just do what you can to stick with him. If he screws up, great, I'll capitalize. If not, at least we'll get second or third.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun watching you guys race that one. It was definitely very interesting to watch all of you because, like you said, I watched most of the videos, at least the watchable videos, and everybody that raced was fast, and everybody that raced had a slightly different flying style. So it was actually really interesting to watch all of that. It's like, well, he doesn't race anywhere near what this guy's racing, but they're same speed at the end of the day. So
yeah, that's one thing that's really cool about
different.
FPV racing. Yeah, exactly. Everybody has their own style. It may not work for the other guy, but as long as it works for you, that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of guys, there's like, you go all over the place and you see all different kinds of different guys flying, and there's some guys down in Florida. They don't fly outside smooth lines. It's more of a snap and punch kind of pilot, and they're looking for the hole. They turn, point at the hole, and correct all the way through the flight to the hole, and then pop, turn, and head into the next gate or the next hole. So there's that type of piloting, which is similar to NASCAR and Formula One and all those other that the wide turns. You say you take a wide turn and then cut on the inside, which is how you maintain and increase speed in and out of a turn, right?
Yeah, and it's more efficient too on your copter.
Right.
Definitely.
Because those quick turns and kind of not necessarily stopping, but it's almost like a hockey stop kind of thing people do around corners. It's just you're slowing way down and then you have to speed way back up, and you just can keep doing that. You're just you're taking a lot off your time, and it's pretty hard on your equipment.
Exactly. Batteries don't like it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. And that's actually can be huge in racing. You got to be able to get that battery to last as long as you can.
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So actually, remember my question. Like, who gave you your nickname, or did you give that to yourself?
No, actually. Okay. So a lot of the guys at my shop, they are always interested in my flying. None of them fly. But so like whenever I come back from an event, they want to see my footage or whatever. Or after I practice, I always DVR all my footage when I practice. So I'll review it the next day to kind of critique my flying or whatever. So a couple of the guys will watch me. They'll watch the footage with me, and one of my employees was like, "Man, you're going beast mode." I was like, oh, you know what? That's a good name. I was like, I was struggling to find a pilot name. I was just going to use my name. And he's just like, seriously, you are, though? I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to use that. So that's how it started. So and then, and then I was just like, well, I got to stick to my, my name and just, and that's the kind of person I am anyway. So I go all or nothing with everything pretty much.
Oh, I know. So. Like, I don't care if it's time trials or anything. You'll fight for anybody for the lead. And anytime I see you race.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Hey,
But that's one thing, though, as I've gotten wiser, I could say, with flying. Like, I wouldn't say slowing it down. I've been smarter about flying. I know when I need to fly in beast mode and when I don't. For the most part.
Yeah, there's sometimes you just need to qualify, make sure you're in before you actually go hammer down all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Or like the multi-GP race that we just did, the regionals, like that was about getting the most laps you can. And then if you're flying all out crazy as fast as you can the whole race, your chances of crashing go up tremendously.
True.
So instead of just flying as crazy and fast as you can, how about flying somewhere where you can stay consistent and fast? You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be the fastest you can ever be to do well. And that's exactly what I did. And, I ended up working out.
Cool. Yeah, actually, there's really two types of racing, right? There's like four, or anywhere from 3 to 10 laps. No, not 10. Anywhere from 3 to 5 laps to win the race. And then there is the multi-GP style, which is 2.5 minutes, as many laps as you can. Do you have a preference?
I like the 3 to 5 because then you can really push your quad. You can really fly as fast as you want to fly, not necessarily as fast as you can fly without killing your battery before the 2 minutes and 30 seconds is up. Because the multi-GP was, like you said, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If you go full out the whole time, you're going to be done before 2 minutes is even close, and then you're only going to get like 5 laps in. So, yeah, I do like, that it kind of tests how consistent you are. The 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but I like the 5 because you can just really go hard and, show what you've been practicing and what you've been doing. So if it was up to me, I would rather have the, 3 to 5 laps, first person wins.
What about you, Alvin? Do you like times or do you like laps?
I don't know. It's I can say like the last 2 races I went to here, I didn't make 3 to 5 laps at all. So it wouldn't have made any difference whether it was 2 minutes and 30 seconds or not. I was upside down and looking at the grass and saw a couple of ants crawling by while the rest of the racers was moving around. But I like time trials. I like the time trials. I just think, how are you going to get more pilots to do the time trials? You know what I mean? Because it really, when it comes down to 2 minutes and 30 seconds, every time you're on the course, you have to build on your speed, right? I mean, if you start off and it's 40 pilots all hitting the time course, and everybody's first time out should normally be a little slower than the second time out, right? And the third time out. You should get much more quicker to laps from start to finish. Right. So it I don't know. I like either way, but I think that one is just a little harder to get started, and I think that's really happens mostly with all the racing when you look at it. A lot of guys don't get enough time to practice.
I agree.
Yeah. What I find is that, so this is kind of like a conundrum, right? So where like the time trial thing is great for beginners, but what I see a lot of is that like a lot of the best pilots, they'll all have the same laps because they reach the maximum that they can get with,
within that time.
Yeah, within that time. It's impossible to get more unless you fly superhuman speeds, which you're just going to crash or your batteries you're going to puff and explode. So like
exactly.
So like I'll go to these time trial events and everybody's at 6 laps up in the top, and then the rest of the group will be nicely spread out. But then you have this problem of, well, all the top guys are who you care about because they're the ones that are going to be competing first through third. So and they all have the same laps. It's like, and so you kind of resort back to going back to laps again because you got to figure out who's first, second, and third. So
well, what they end up doing is taking the fastest guys out of all those guys. The fastest time.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they're doing with MultiGP right now, actually. With the right.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I kind of like laps, but like I actually do probably a split to be honest with you. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. So do you have? Well, you kind of already kind of talked about it. You kind of have different strategies for laps versus times because you're really looking for more consistency when it comes to time trials and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's something that you kind of, as you grow into the sport more, you get smarter about how to fly and how to compete. It's not necessarily about going as hard as you can right out of the gate. You got to be smart about it.
You really
want to go on. Yeah, and it's it's taken me a while to learn it. And Joe and Dennis and Jeff, they've always told me, things on how it should be done. But, I'm a stubborn guy. I have to figure everything out the hard way. And that's pretty much how it's been, So now, the last few months is when I've really started to listen to the guys and, take their advice seriously when it comes to that.
See, Elvin, beast mode starting to grow up.
Right.
See, I think it's just progression of his skills.
Definitely.
As you realize that that you because I know he's been hearing these things. It's not like he's somebody just came up one day and just started telling these things. Joe told him. We had conversations. We've all had these little tidbits in talks with Beast, and trying to show the light or show him something that we saw.
Right,
and
right.
What it is now all of this stuff is filing into place. That's all it is, right? I mean, really, it's just he's just like, okay, that made sense then, and it makes sense with this and here to here. Now we bind the plan on how to become a better pilot and follow through with the smoother lines, the sharper turns, the less energy loss, so you can fly longer. I mean, because that's part of the time trials, right? The flying in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You can go wide open for a minute and a half. How many times are you going to go across the course? I mean, the laps. Right. How many laps are you going to get in a minute and a half if that's as fast as you're going? But if you stretch it out and you can get 18 more laps or 10 more laps, in doubling the time, just going a little slower, that's what everybody's going to be looking at.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree.
Yep. So MDX got you a national qualifier spot. Been racing all the way up to then. Leading up to Joe Nationals, were you nervous? Like, what was the thought process going into Nationals?
Well, it ran through my head every single day, probably every hour of the day. Just something, I've been looking forward to since, MDX, obviously. And I was just telling myself, you got to adapt and just do the best you can in the circumstances. And, I mean, as each day came closer and closer, like I just like getting butterflies in my stomach almost every day, just thinking about it. And then, like, I would always talk myself into, like, okay, well, even if you don't do well, just enjoy the experience, being around all the good pilots and all the big names in this business or whatever, in the sport. So, I talked myself into, realizing it's more than just about winning. Mm-hmm. Obviously that's what I want to do, but if it doesn't happen, there's other positives that come from situations like that.
Definitely. Hey, you're in the spotlight. No matter what happens, you made it, and you're amongst a very small list of people that have made it, because this is a pretty dense community at this point. So yeah, congrats on that. So, all right, thanks. So we'll kind of just fast forward through the practice days. So you qualified to be in the final race on Sunday, or to be in the final races on Sunday. Right. What position was you? Were like 20th? Something I don't remember.
16th.
16th? Okay, yeah. So top 16, still really good. So, what race were you in? Do you remember who you were racing against?
I remember some of the guys. I flew against M3.
Yep.
Which actually, that was the first time I ever met him. I didn't even know
anything
who he was.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, M3 Flying Bear. M3 Flying Bear. I don't remember who else. There was one or two other guys. I remember they were kind of small heats. I think there was 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah.
I can't remember who else was in it.
Okay, so like, what did you think of the course going into Sunday?
The course was awesome. I mean, I really, really wish we had more time to fly it, to be honest. But it was just amazing. Something I've never, had the chance to fly. Obviously, whoever put it together really, they put some thought into it and some time. and it was just, it was crazy. It's just something you can only dream of. It was fun, to say the least. I wish I had more practice, because our whole day of practice didn't actually happen. But I mean, it was cool.
I know you in practice. Every single time I see you at the race, you're running towards the bench, getting a new battery, saying, "Hey, is anybody on this frequency I'm going up again?" I never see you without a controller or a battery in hand. You just want to race.
True. That is true.
So,
but it was cool.
Yeah. So, like, did you feel that this was one of the longer courses that you've raced in? Because I definitely felt it was a really long course.
It was pretty. What's crazy is that it looks huge, but it didn't feel as big when you're actually flying it. I mean, 30-second laps is a long course.
Yeah.
But I mean, for what it looked like, it just looked so much bigger. Until the first time I flew it, and I was like, all right, well, this isn't too bad. Because everyone's like, well, 1,300 batteries are just not going to cut it. And actually, that's what I ended up using, because it was cutting it. It was big, but it was manageable. It wasn't too crazy.
Okay.
And there's a lot of parts of the course where you couldn't go full out if you wanted to. So you're actually saving a lot of battery just because of how the course is designed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, cool. So going back to the story, last day you qualified for the final races. It was I can't remember. So it was like heats of four people per heat. And on the first
4
round,
or 5.
yeah,
Like that, yeah.
yeah, and I think the first round, one person advanced. The second round, 2 people advanced, and then the third round was the last race. Right? Did you advance past the first round? I don't remember. Sorry.
Oh, nope. I was in the lead, almost about to finish the first lap, and I ended up nicking the gate, so I was out the first round.
Ouch. See,
Yeah.
that's why I hate gates.
Yeah, well, I actually learned a lot from that race. There was a lot of stuff I was actually kind of doing wrong.
Okay.
And I didn't figure it out until then. So, it was kind of my fault in a way. I should have had a different camera, and I should have had different props on my quad. So, it's a lesson learned.
Lesson learned. Oh, well, I mean, what was the lesson? Because, some of it was just you didn't have enough practice time to know what you needed on your quad to actually race competitively, right? But, I mean, that's life.
Right. Well, for the last 3 months, I've been running a 1200 Fox year.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people are giving me crap because of the latency. And I didn't see any latency. And I've been practicing with it for a long time, and it's been fine. But I don't know if it was a Tramp VTX or what it was, but at Nationals, I had a ton of latency. And unfortunately, I didn't realize it until it was all said and done, and I went over my DVR footage, and I was watching me fly, and I would go down, but you wouldn't even see the crash. And Dennis even said it when he was watching me fly. He's like, "What did you even hit?" And it would happen before we'd even see it because I didn't see.
Right.
Yeah, so I think the Tramp VTX had something to do with it because it's been fine for me before. I've been using Hawkeyes and FR or the Unify they use. I've never had an issue. I mean, I know it's there with the 1200.
Maybe you send it too much to process.
Right. And like I said, unfortunately, I figured it out after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And with latency, everything gets harder. It's harder to line up gates. It's harder to do everything, especially when you're flying fast. So, after Nationals, I pulled off all the 1200s from my quads and, right back to the 600s. And then I was using, the GF nylon gym fan props, which are stiff and great around corners, but there's no second chances. You crash, you even drop your quad, you're breaking all that. Yeah, so that's one thing. Like Dennis has been telling me, Jeff Orta has been telling me, Joe, you got to get to a PC prop or something that you can get a second chance in a race in case something happens, somebody hits you, you hit a gate, whatever. So, I that was a big mistake on my part. I should have never used those kind of props in a race that big. I mean, the practice is a different story, but in a big race,
because some people will fix your props before they put it back on the ground. Now,
Exactly. So that like I said, I at least I learned something from the whole experience. It was fun. I had a great time with everybody, and it's just a once in a well, not once in a lifetime, but first time in my life so far I got to experience something like that. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you'll definitely get a chance to compete again, and if you make it into Sunday, you're definitely fast enough because as we have seen in nationals, it's as much roll of the dice as skill sometimes because like it only takes a little wind gust and a little bad luck and you're out.
A little bad luck.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the pilots say. Like, it's not necessarily about the fastest guy that day. It could be more or less about the luckiest guy that day.
Right.
That is huge. You got to have some luck on your side.
I've won many races and everybody just crashed out, just cruising around.
Right.
Ooh, yeah, man, I remember.
Hey, I mean, I kind of laugh at this, and I laugh at Boba Fett with it. Is that like he came in second place in nationals, but he was coasting for most of that race because M3 crashed out trying to chase down Anu, and it was like,
right.
So technically, you should have been in third, but
right.
Whatever.
Actually, that happened. Boba Fett at Flight Fest, the same thing happened. There was a race that Tattoo was holding. And Navahawk, Brain Drain, and another fast guy were all way ahead in first place, and Boba Fett was just doing his thing, being consistent. He was like maybe a half a lap behind, and they all three ended up crashing into each other, and he just coasted right on into victory, won $4,000 in first place.
Sometimes
that's how it is.
That's how it is. Sometimes you
right,
just hey,
consistency wins.
Yep. It's like
consistency.
Yep. You look at NASCAR. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But I mean, when you're up there at the top 32, they're all good. At that point, you're talking about fractions of a second separating them apart. So,
right. Do you think what's the number? Like we had this conversation before, me and Y, about how big do you think the group is? The fastest pilots, top, like 100 pilots, or
No,
and then I mean around the world, not just in the U.S.
Yeah, I follow a lot, probably all the fast guys. I want to say there's probably 40.
40?
50. I wouldn't say no more than 50. 50 is pushing it. There's really good and consistent fast guys, but then there's the other guys that are on another level, and those guys are in that group of 40 that I'm, talking about. And I've met them all, I've flown with them all, and, they're guys that have dedicated part of their life to fly. Right. It's not something they do on the weekends or, when they get a free time. That's something they do every day.
Every day.
They put it in their schedule like work,
Definitely.
So those are those.
TikTok.
Right. Yeah.
And, do you consider yourself in the top 40? Be honest. Be honest.
I think I should be for how much practice I put in. I would hope so. I practice like 3 hours a day every day, so I would hope so.
Hey,
listen, I can't say.
if you said top 40 and you're in on Sunday in Drill Nationals, you're part of the group.
Yeah,
that's the way I say it.
That's what it is, man. You are one of the top pilots in the world. You should know that. And don't what they said, if you asked Bruce Lee if he was the best martial artist ever, and if he said no, then you would think he was a lion, and if he said yes, then you thought he was arrogant, right? So
yeah, that was a trick question. That was totally a trick question.
Right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot, especially for how much work I put into it.
Okay, so you
work hard, man.
Yep, racing didn't go well with you. Is there anything memorable from Joe Nationals that you take away from that you're just going to be like, it was just being there, you met somebody, just having fun?
Well, honestly, just thinking about what I was doing at the time, just looking at my surroundings, you know, and thinking about where I was a year from then, you know, just to be at that level with those guys and where I was, you know, on an island looking at New York, it was just, you know, it's overwhelming. Just, you know, just how far you can go in a year just by dedication and, you know, pushing yourself. It was just, you know, I was just honored to be a part of it. So, you know, the whole thing, even though the flying part didn't go well for a lot of guys, you know, I'm sure a lot of pilots agree with me. They were just all happy to be there and be a part of it.
Definitely. It was a cool event. And, well, even though Joe Nationals is over, that doesn't mean the racing season's over. In fact, there's still a lot more racing left to do. So, you just, you were first in the regional race for MultiGP, right?
Yes.
Okay, yep. So tell us about that event, because that's after Joe Nationals, and there's still a bunch of fast guys competing out there. So how did that event go?
That event went well. Like I said, my game plan was to be in that happy zone of consistent and fast. And I've had this game plan for a while. I knew what I had to do. And I changed my camera and my prop. So, you know, my quad was 100% like it was supposed to be. And my number one thing, I was like, all right, I just need to get practice in whether it's raining or not. And like it rained the whole day and it sprinkled on and off for a little while, so I ended up just taping up my whole quad, literally the whole thing. And I was the only guy out there.
I don't care, I'm flying.
The whole thing. Yeah, I was the only guy out there multiple times. Well, me and Bozy, out of like 30 pilots, we were the only ones that would dare to fly. And you know, him and I got probably 7 or 8 batteries in the rain, but we got some practice in, you know. And I was gonna get practice no matter what happened. So that was part of my game plan. And I just knew, like, I know I was racing a lot of fast guys. You know, Archie FPV, he's insane, really fast. And there's a bunch of other, Bozy's good. So I knew it wasn't going to be something like a walk in the park. It was going to have to, I was going to have to earn it, you know. So my game plan was just to stay as consistent as possible and as fast as I can while staying consistent.
Yeah.
So, and it was nice to be able to feel out the course a little bit, so I knew where the tough spots were. I knew where I could go fast and where I had to slow down, and you know, so I was pretty confident in the course. I just, you know, I had to make sure I kept my quad working right and you know, stayed off the ground.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, this is one of those things where having multiple quads really help out, because if it gets wet in the rain, you got to back up. Completely new shiny one.
Right, exactly. And actually, I ended up using my backup one. And the rain apparently got into the tape and killed one of my ESCs. Actually, right before the first race too. And I always power on to make sure everything's working before the race, like make 20 minutes before the race starts. And of course, the ESC was out, so I ended up replacing it, but I didn't have a chance to test it, so I used my backup quad, but it's identical, so it was good.
See, backup quads really helps, and you know
what? People need to pay attention to that.
Yeah, and that's
a must.
Yeah, for 7 batteries, that ESC going out, that was worth it.
Right. No, it was totally worth it.
Absolutely. So that pretty much that basically assured you to go into the championships for MultiGP, correct? Is that how it worked?
Right.
So
I just had to win that one, and then that's pretty much your golden ticket in. You don't have to do any of the UTT trials or none of that stuff. You're on the list of pilots that are already in.
Awesome. So that's your next big race. So you have the same butterflies going into that race as you will going into nationals.
You know what? I think nationals kind of I want to say broke my cherry a little bit. So I was talking to my girlfriend actually about this a couple days ago. So it's like there's just no way I'm going to be more nervous at any race than I was at nationals. So I know not to expect anything more than nationals. Either way, MultiGP is a huge race, in my opinion, just as big as nationals. But now I got the jitters out of me, you know. So and like even when I am nervous, in my opinion, it doesn't really affect my flying because I know to get in the mode and you know I'm good at blocking stuff out. So when the goggles come down, like I'm just in my zone doing my own thing. Just got to hope that everything's working like it should, and usually it works out.
Cool. I'll probably definitely see you up there because I am gonna go up there at least for one of those days. I'm trying busy schedule, but I'm definitely gonna try to see you guys up there. I'm sure there's plenty of people that I know that are gonna be making it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You'll know probably everybody.
You California boy, you need to come over to the East Coast a little more.
Hey, when I get a chance, man, I'm coming. Promise, I'll be over there sometime soon. Soon.
Lying.
Soon.
All lies.
All lies. Okay, so we talked a little bit, actually a lot about what's been going on for you for the year. It's still a very successful year, so congratulations on that. So let's talk a little bit about what do you want to get out of this? Is this like a career path for you, or is this just kind of fun, and then when it's over, you'll just be off on your next thing?
I mean, I would love for it to turn into a career. I think every pilot that puts this much effort in wants that. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be heartbroken, or, I don't have my life savings into it or anything. So, that's definitely the goal. And I'm going to keep, pushing to get it there. And I mean, I think if I stay on the path I'm going, I mean, I would hope it's, we'll get better for the pilots. Mm-hmm. But either way, I'm loving it. I love to compete. I love doing what we're doing now. So regardless, I'll be happy with the outcome, whether I do or not. It's something I'm going to keep doing, whether I get paid to do it or not. I'm still going to do it.
Definitely. Right. Awesome. So if you were to give a percentage right now, what do you think are the chances of it becoming the next big sport in which you can make a career out of it?
I think it's a 50-50.
50-50.
I think it's got a shot, but I'm not sure because I just don't know. I don't know. I hope it does, but big events, in my opinion, have to be more successful.
Definitely.
So everything is kind of a learning curve for everybody. So I think, as time gets better, our chances will get better. So like I said, I think it's 50-50.
Yep. Nobody's showering Terry with money right now, so he feels a little down.
No. Right. And actually, nobody's showering any of the pilots with money. I mean, pilots, they do, it's like Brain Drain and Banny, they've had big wins, and those guys got big sponsors, but that's just them. That's a couple guys.
Very small.
That's literally a couple people.
Wait.
Out of everyone,
it's six pilots I know of. 6 pilots,
right?
That can go. That could. You get on the phone. There's a race so and so, and they'll be there tomorrow, right? There's only 6 pilots in the world that'll be there tomorrow.
Exactly.
It's not a lot. That's not a lot.
No.
That's nothing. So, and got a ways to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. I think as again, I'll say this because, I'm on the sponsor tip thing all the time, right? Trying to acquire and pass and move, in between doors and stuff. And still, sponsors have the minimum input, right now. There's some that are doing good, right? I mean, there's Ready Made, there's Luminaire, there's supposedly there's a full board FPV direct team coming and a Furious FPV team coming, big team coming, and not just support like what I do, but just a full on race team. So it's and I still think that these companies have no real clue on how much money they're going to end up spending in the later years.
Right. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think it's a still big question mark for all of them.
Yeah. They're just like, oh yeah. let's do that. Cause I got told, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and it took a year to do the first thing. You know, yeah, the whole year you're telling me we're gonna do, and you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna follow this route. We're gonna do this, and this is how we're gonna do things, and we're gonna get things organized, and we're gonna do it this way. And now that the year is over, we just accomplished the first thing.
Welcome
I don't
to
think
business.
that the other 9 is going to happen before the end of the year, because it's not.
Nope.
You know,
Right.
But the thing is that this market is so hard to predict right now. You know, it's not like with automotive stuff. You have motors, right? You have these big companies that make engines, and you have companies that make dirt bikes or whatever, or frames. You don't have that. You have one company making servicing basically 1,000 to 2,000 customers, and they're all spread all over the world, trying to fight for the right to supply that customer that needs it. But still, a lot of things are like, there's T Motors, there's Emax, there's Rebel now, there's Schizo Motors, there's Schizo Quad, there's all of this stuff is like, it's so spread out, it's hard for to focus on what you're going to need.
Right.
Actually, this kind of reminds me, so I'm going to share a story from Joe Nationals. So, I'm not sure why, but I ended up talking to the GoPro guy. So he and I were just talking shop, and I was asking him a bunch of questions, and we were sharing stories. So we got into the conversation. I was like, hey, how come, everybody has a GoPro on their quad? Come on, it's just how it is. They love it as long as they don't pay for insurance, which they don't, so they love it. So I asked them, one question is hey, how come you guys don't make, a dedicated FPV camera for a quad? It's it's if you do that, I'm sure people will jump on, because, everybody needs an FPV camera. Everybody breaks FPV cameras. It's just a fact of life. So, and he looked at me, he thought about it, and says, to be honest with you, the market isn't big enough for us to care, which tells you a lot.
Right. It really does.
And he looked at me, it's like you have to get, for GoPro to care, to make an FPV camera, you have to get to the size of, how much Pepsi is selling Pepsi. And I'm like, there's no way this industry is going to get that big. You never know, but it's so here's GoPro. They're sponsoring the race. They're sending their camera equipment to go film this whole thing, but but we're still a drop in the bucket when it comes to the market, because
the money ain't there.
Yeah, so I just found it very funny. And this is with full knowledge that they're actually going to come out with a full quadcopter, or I'm not sure if it's quadcopter, multirotor that's going to film, like a Phantom. Okay, they're coming out with their own Phantom. Everybody knows this, right? Yeah, and
yeah. I saw it.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
So that market's actually bigger than our market right now. So,
true.
So it kind of tells you where we are, because all of us wants to think that we're a huge market. We're on ESPN. We're actually not. We're actually behind the professional aerial guys when it comes to market.
Right. And that's why they get all the announcements and all of the big money stuff pops up, because the aerial photography guys, those people go out and spend thousands and thousands. Where we're talking about, most racers is going, I gotta build another quad, $300. Oh God, oh shit, and where an aerial photography guy is going, I gotta go out and buy another camera, and he's not talking about $49.99. He's talking about $5,000 for a camera, and that's what's driving that market. Is that's where the money is. I mean, really, an Alex Moss gimbal still costs. I mean, we're 3 years later in brushless gimbals, and the board still costs $500 for the actual real thing. You know what I mean?
Wow.
You know,
That's
it's
crazy.
just the money is there because those people will spend that money to get that footage.
Yeah.
They know what that footage is worth. You know, I just saw a guy who here in Oregon who posted his prices for doing aerial photography, and like everybody I know went, "What? You know, what? Wow! You know, $7,000 for a day of videoing. You know, with an Inspire and a Phantom." And we're like, whoa, but he's getting paid.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Somebody's paying him, you know, because they spend the money.
They do.
Right.
They do. So, yeah, just small tidbit. If you ever get a chance to talk to the GoPro guys, they're really cool. You should, because like they have great stories. I'm just telling you, they have great stories because they travel all over the place. Yeah. Anyways, okay, sorry. Back on.
Awesome job.
Yeah, back on subject. Okay. Few more questions for you, and we'll actually let you leave because I know it's getting a little late. You got a chance to see wings fly. They were fast. They were big. What'd you think?
Yeah, they were pretty crazy. I've never seen a wing fly. I've been seeing them online a lot. A lot of guys posting about them, but I've never seen them in person. And I was really surprised, honestly, how well you can control them without a rudder and all.
Mm-hmm.
And just how intense they were. You know, it's just it's pretty cool. I think it's something that you know, has a pretty good chance, just like quads. But
so
it was something new, that's for sure. But you know, it's the plane guys can kind of get into that more than drone. So you know, that's a good market too. I think that's something that's going to blow up too. I think it's just a matter of time.
So
I think
right.
He's a wings guy. He's a big wings guy.
I've been, you know, listen. I love flying helicopters, everything. So it's not about I'm a big wings guy. It's just up here, it blows 40, 50 mile an hour winds. You know, we get that consistent, you know, time of year, and it's coming. And there's nothing that penetrates that, you know, unless you're flying a giant scale airplane, you know,
right.
and those are, you know, $8,000 just for the shell, you know, and the motor, where these wings are cut through that. You know, you just got to put a little bit more power in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
only one motor, too.
Bigger motor.
And I think for how affordable they are is a big thing. That's huge. You know, you
two
can get one off the ground
servos,
for under
motor, and the speed control.
$100. Yeah.
So
yeah,
is there going to be an itch in Beastmode's future about scratching a wing?
Maybe. See, my thing is, there's a lot of stuff I want. I want a 3-inch quad. I want an Inductrix. There's a lot of. I want a wing, but I feel like every free minute I get, I'm flying my drone. So I want it, but it's gonna take away from, you know, my main goal right now. So
definitely,
even if I had it sitting on my table right now, it wouldn't ever get used, just because any free time I get, I'm flying my quad.
See, look.
So that's pretty much how it's gonna go for a while.
So do you fly at night? I mean, like, how late do you fly? I mean, is there times you get up like at? I mean, for me, like there's times when I get up at 2:00 in the morning. You know, it's like can't sleep, or you know, you're thinking about the grandkids or whatever. You know, for me, because I'm that old, and you know, you can't sleep, so I grab a quad, or grab a battery, you know, and I go out and fly up and down the street, you know, till the battery's out, you know.
I got a spot. I fly in the parking structure at nighttime. There's a place just a couple miles down the road, and the guy.
Can you do a video on that?
Yeah, that's actually that's where I fly all winter long, is the parking structures, and this place is lit up, you know, 24/7. And actually, I got the guy that supervises the building gave me his approval to fly there. So I can pretty much come and go whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So I usually try to fly after work. I get off like around 6:30, 7. So I try to fly until it gets dark, which is like 9:30. And for some reason, if I can't fly after work, I'll just hit up the parking structure and fly then. But either way, I get in, at least 20 batteries a day. Doesn't matter if it's day or night.
Dude, this guy graduated from the Brian Moore School of Racing.
Right. Honestly, to be honest, if I could get more in, I would. If I could do double that, I'd be all about it. Like every time I finish my last battery, like I just want to keep going. The drive is like my first month of flying. It just hasn't died down. The fire is just getting stronger.
Man.
Yeah, I got sad today putting all my batteries back. Oh, 1, 2. Oh, 10 flights already? Damn.
Right. I know that.
Damn.
Yeah. And now I'm getting to the point where all my batteries got 100, 150 runs on them. So it's going to be time to spend some money and get, a whole nother shipment.
Yep.
Miguel, buddy.
Right. Miguel is doing some great stuff over there. They're coming up with some new batteries, and they're just crazy. They're nuts. The R-Line battery has got more power than you would ever need, honestly. With that battery, like even how I fly, I don't even touch full throttle pretty much ever. You just don't need it. It's got that much power. Like you can stay in the 3/4 range, 75, 80% throttle, and it's more than enough just because of how much these batteries push out. It's just crazy.
That's awesome. I still haven't gotten a chance to get one yet. My shipment has not shipped. Dang you, Miguel.
Yeah.
Anyways, but no, looking forward to testing out those batteries. So, Beast Mode, thumbs up approval for the R-Line?
Yes, sir. Dude, those batteries are amazing. You just have to try them. I mean, they're a little pricey, but you'll see why. Like, Miguel sat there and explained it to all of us. He's like, these batteries have the top-of-the-line, best quality that you can get in a battery. That's why they're expensive, and that's why they do what they do. They wanted to put out a battery that people would just absolutely love, and that's the one.
Cool.
In my opinion, we could use a 1500. So I guess that's in the works, he said. A 1300, I mean, you just want to keep pushing that thing because it just feels so, the power is just on demand. So you kind of run through it quickly, not because the battery runs out fast, just because it's there, So he's working on a 1550, and I think that's going to be the sweet spot.
Cool. All right, Elvin, time for you to push pulse for more C batteries.
Hey, I think I did enough.
Have you been puffing batteries? Is that what it is?
We got 95C coming.
Oh, listen. See, look, pushing the number.
I used to run pulse batteries actually when I started. I got at least 40 of them, 50 of them sitting in my basement right now. They're all old and worn down, but yeah, I used to run those racing series ones.
Man,
they're good batteries.
Yeah, they really are. They got
work great for me.
So, man,
it surprises people too. Old guy like me come out. Jesus Christ.
So
I'm just hanging on, dude. I'm just hanging on.
So what I just found out is Beast Mode has basically a basement bomb of lithium batteries.
Right. Yeah, the most part. Salt
water,
just sitting
baby.
down in the aisle. Well, I know I can't throw them away. Though one day they're gonna get recycled. Eventually.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? They still have their uses. You can power ground stations with them or something.
Yeah. That's true. Power gates.
Yep.
LED gates.
Well, I keep them around because I'll steal the balance leads off them, or the XT60, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely recycle whatever you can, man. You know what?
Exactly.
I was an idiot, and I never did that until recently. And then now I think back, it's like all those batteries I threw away. There were so many connectors I could use.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like I'm a hoarder when it comes to old or broken parts. I keep them all. You just never know when you need something.
Definitely.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I finally.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm like, why? I'm like, why is this still on my desk? But it's broke.
Break. Wait a minute. Anyways,
I don't want to throw it away. It looks cool. Something to play
Right.
with.
you crazy. You crazy. Okay. Let's wrap up. I don't want to keep you too long. See, look, I told you an hour would fly by real quick.
Yep.
Yeah, it does.
So-
I didn't even know that was ours.
It's like chasing women.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. You're married and he's got a girlfriend, you know?
Hey.
Right.
Anyways, Terry, how can people find you on the internet?
My Facebook name is just Terry R. Scott, and same with my Instagram. It's Terry R. Scott, ARSCOTT.
Okay.
I need to change my Instagram to Beast Mode, but I just haven't done it yet.
Come on, get on the ball. Get on the ball. Chop,
Come
chop.
on. That was
Okay.
easy.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
you're fast.
Yeah.
Now you got to get your branding department to catch up with your speed, okay? Branding department.
Right. That's one thing. I'm not big. I mean, I'm on Facebook a lot, following a lot of guys, but I don't post as much as I probably should. So I'm gonna work on it.
Definitely. Now, you know what? I hate working on that stuff too, but you got to work on that stuff, you know? Branding is important.
And I know
Branding
I know.
is important.
a lot of people give me shit about it. Actually,
So follow Terry on Facebook. He's a cool guy. If you're in the Midwest, you'll probably see him. Go over there and say hi. Watch his stance because it's funny. And then it's not funny. It's just I like your aggressive stance. It's a lot of people when they stand, they're just kind of like they're like sticks. But when you
Right.
stand, you're like a football player. I'm like, that's different.
get ready to freaking pummel you.
It's great. Love your stance actually.
Running through the space.
Well, actually, it keeps me from falling over. That's how it started.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. No, like
Yeah.
I love your stance. Don't change your stance because it makes you
I
unique.
gotta-
It makes you
Right.
unique because like when you're trying to stand out in the crowd, trust me, when you're up there racing, it's like I don't even have to see your face. I could be across the field. It's like, oh, that's Beastmode racing because I can just know it from your stance.
Right.
All right, cool, man. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. We enjoyed having with you, and we'll definitely catch up again once the season's over and on to the next season, as they say.
Continue
Cool.
with your positiveness, man, and we wish you luck. Keep fighting hard.
Definitely.
I appreciate that, guys. Thanks for everything. I appreciate you guys taking the time out to talk to me.
Definitely. All right. Peace out. We're
All right,
wrapping
see
it
you
up.
later.